Shinichi prepares to fight the parasite. He is surprised by the strength that Shinichi has because the form of the parasite in Shinichi's body is not perfect and looks weak. Shinichi began to be attacked by the parasite. Migi tried to fend off all his attacks, but because the parasite had more weapons than anticipated, finally Shinichi chose to run away. Shinichi's running speed can be caught by the parasite. He can dodge from his pursuit, but his stamina is getting weak. Suddenly a car approaches and the parasite jumps down from the car. They fight again. This time Migi plans that he will attack the right side of his leg, and Shinichi attacks from the left side. Because the attack didn't work, they tried to dodge and devise a new strategy. Migi told Shinichi to go into the forest. Migi analyzes that the parasite can't attack accurately because inside his body there are 3 parasites, each of which interferes with each other's attacks. They stopped dodging and started the fight. Shinichi moved between the trees and prevented the parasite's attack. When there was a chance, Shinichi immediately attacked and managed to cut off his head. It turned out that this parasite reattached its head with its right hand, and its severed head fused back into its right hand. He also showed his true form and began to attack Shinichi with very fast movements. Shinichi tried to dodge his attacks, but the attack keeps coming and succeeded in injuring Shinichi. He ran quickly out of the forest. The parasite keeps chasing him and can even change the shape of his legs. Arriving at the highway, Migi and Shinichi got into a passing car, and the parasite kept chasing them by running very fast. They fought again. The parasite managed to get into the car. Seeing that, Migi turned the driver's steering wheel, and the parasite was finally hit by a passing car. They finally managed to escape. But unlucky for the car that hit the parasite, they were immediately eaten and killed. Arriving in the city, Shinichi saw on the TV news about the detective's wife and son who had been cruelly murdered. He was worried that his father's fate would be killed by the parasite as well, so he called his father and told him to leave immediately because the parasites would target his father. The detective wants to avenge the deaths of his wife and children. He follows Ryuko Tamura, who used to hire him, and orders him to investigate Shinichi. He saw Ryuko not going into his apartment and going somewhere. When she got there, she was confronted by 3 people. It turned out that the 3 of them were parasites who did not like Ryuko's behavior. They began to fight each other. When they arrived at a building, one of the parasites managed to cut off part of Ryuko's head, but the pieces of that part entered his body and began to attack his body from the inside. Ryuko ran out of the building and passed by a couple of people around there. They approached her, and she changed her form to scare them. Returning to the injured parasite, in a state of torment his body exploded, and Ryuko's severed head re-entered the female parasite's body. Her body was taken over by Ryuko, and the lady began to attack her own friend. The woman asked her partner to stop attacking her, but she herself has no control over her body. In the end, the female parasite was defeated, and her body was cut into pieces. Ryuko appeared suddenly and slashed at the male parasite. She approached the female corpse, and the severed head rejoined her body. After Ryuko got home, she found her son had been taken by detectives and asked her to meet him at the park. Ryuko sneaks into Shinichi's house and uses the phone to call Shinichi and asks him to meet her at the park where she will meet the detective. The next day they met at the park. When Shinichi got there, Murano also happened to enter the park. The detective says he will make Ryuko feel the loss of a loved one the way he does, but he doesn't believe the parasite has human feelings. The detective pretended he was going to throw the baby under the bridge. At that moment Ryuko's knife pierced his chest and saved the baby. Detectives didn't expect Ryuko to have feelings for her baby, so he finally fell down the bridge. The other detectives arrived at the scene where they found their colleague who died not long after. The detectives started hunting for Ryuko. Finally, Shinichi meets Ryuko. She explains to Shinichi that all this time she tried to consume human food so that she didn't kill humans. The detectives found their position and surrounded Ryuko. Detective Harama took out a gun and fired his gun right at Ryuko's head, but the bullet didn't work. They all started shooting. Ryuko didn't fight back and only protect her child. She then walked up to Shinichi and begged him to take care of her child, since the child is an ordinary human. Due to a lot of blood loss, Ryuko finally died. Murano approached the location because he heard gunshots and saw Shinichi crying while holding the baby. Finally, Shinichi is brought to the detective's research site, where he met Uragami, a person who has the ability to detect parasites. He notices Shinichi and says that Shinichi is not a parasite, although he suspects Shinichi is not fully human. The next day, Shinichi went to school. During his exercise, his friends were surprised by how fast he ran. On the way home from school, Detective Harama asks Shinichi for help to meet with the parasite extermination team formed by the government. The team began to surround a building. They asked Shinichi to see the presence of parasites from behind the scenes and use sensor technology to detect them. A woman was detected as a parasite, then she was separated from her ranks and immediately shot by a rifle. The parasite changed form, but she could not fight because she was bleeding out. They secured the parasite's body and continued its evacuation. The team also asked for Uragami's help to detect it. He sensed the parasite and the team immediately opened fire, but their shot hit the sensor, and so the sensor was damaged. Inside the building, suddenly a man transforms and attacks the police, but he is quickly shot dead. The police team started to sterilize the building area. They checked every floor. The team guarding below suddenly saw a man wanting to run away while carrying another man as a shield. He was immediately shot dead. The team that went up to the top of the building found a man who asked for help but was immediately shot by the police. It turned out that he was also a parasite. One by one, the parasites could be shot dead by the police team until finally Uragami saw a parasite and he ran away in fear. The parasite was shot by the police, but he remained standing and did not bleed. The bullets that hit his body were expelled and fired back at the police, piercing their bodies. Other teams were informed that the other two teams are down. The other team continued the search until they arrived at the consulate room and surrounded a man. His attitude and behavior were like a parasite, so he was shot dead, but it turned out that he was a human. Uragami and the detectives found a team that was killed by a parasite. Uragami secretly took a gun on the floor and fired at the detective because he was planning to run away. The story continues with another team doing a sweep. They meet a very strong parasite. The movement is very fast. 2 team members are killed, and the team leader tells the rest of the members to climb up to the roof. The team leader reaches the top of the roof himself, and the rest of the members are killed before they can go upstairs. He shot at the parasite, but the shot was dodged. The parasite attacked the captain back, and the sound of their fight was heard from below. The captain was then killed. The parasite jumped down from the roof, and he met Shinichi. He was the leader of the parasite named Goto. Goto said this time he would not fight with Shinichi because he was tired and had lost a lot of his kind. He then jumps on the top of the building and disappear. The next few days, while Shinichi was walking, Migi detected Goto's presence moving quickly like he was in a car. They quickly grab a car and drove away to avoid Goto. Shinichi told Migi to stay away from the city area so there wouldn't be many casualties. They headed to the mountain area and dropped the car right on top of the car that Goto was driving. Migi detects that Goto is still alive and tells Shinichi to run to the forest. Migi then told Shinichi to stop at a big tree, and they planned a strategy to fight Goto separately. Goto also approached them and knew Migi's position was on the tree, but he couldn't detect Shinichi's position. He also climbed onto the tree and began to destruct Migi's hiding place. But there was no resistance from Migi. They waited for an opportunity to counterattack and target the head. Migi finally gave a signal to Shinichi. They attacked simultaneously. Shinichi threw his spear and hit Goto's leg, and Migi immediately tried to cut off his head. However, Migi's attack was not strong enough, so did not break his head. Shinichi tries to help Migi in the fight, but Migi forbids him and tells him to run. Migi cuts off Goto's leg so Shinichi has time to run. Due to being separated from Shinichi's body for too long, Migi's body finally started to weaken and dry up. Shinichi was very sad. He ran while crying until he finally fell into the river. He managed to climb over the rock on the river bank and tried to grab Migi, but Migi was no longer there. At night, Shinichi passed by a house occupied by an old granny. The old granny saw the wound on Shinichi's head and told him to go inside her house so that she could treat Shinichi's wound. The old granny fed him and told Shinichi to spend the night at her house. That night, Shinichi had a dream. There was a small parasite that asked Shinichi what he was doing, and he replied that he was looking for his friend Migi. He woke up from his sleep and looked at his right hand. There appears an eye for a moment and then disappeared. In the morning, the villagers gathered in front of the old granny's house, suspecting that Shinichi had killed people, but the surviving victim said that the killer was a 4-legged, 4-eyed monster. That night, Shinichi said goodbye to the old granny, and we see Granny gave him a sharp weapon. With that weapon, Shinichi ran into the forest. He managed to find Goto, who was sleeping. Shinichi approached Goto and aimed his knife at Goto's head, but his movement was noticed, and he immediately countered Shinichi. Without Migi's presence, Shinichi's hiding position can't be detected by Goto. He attacks Goto from the top of a tree. Again, his attack is detected by Goto. Shinichi tried to attack him again. However, it didn't work. Goto's punch hit Shinichi, and he was thrown far away. Shinichi vomited blood due to Goto's punch. As he was cornered to a pile of garbage, he remembered that there was a part of Goto's body that was bleeding when he was attacked by the police team. He quickly took a piece of metal from the pile and quickly stuck it into the part of Goto's body that had been bleeding. Turns out his instinct was right, he could hurt Goto that way. Shinichi tried to escape to another place, but was chased by Goto. This time Shinichi has given up and cannot fight anymore. When Goto's weapon is about to attack him, suddenly it was blocked by his right hand. As it turns out, Migi is still alive. Migi said Shinichi's attack that injured Goto has caused the parasites in his body to rebel. Goto was very angry. He started to attack them, and Migi quickly counterattacked. With one powerful slash, Goto's body exploded. After that, we see Migi and Shinichi are on their way home when suddenly Migi told Shinichi to return to the forest as it detected Goto is trying to recover his body again. Migi told him the chances of Goto's success in regenerating are only half, and so it won't attack Goto in that condition. Migi then told Shinichi to decide whether or not to kill Goto. In order to protect humans, Shinichi finally decided to kill him with his weapon.
What a great story the movie has brought. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button for more videos like this. Thanks for watching our video. Stay tuned for another video.